Hey guys, it's me, Kim. Let's talk about what we're gonna do with racist white women. Last week, Bette Midler tweeted this. Now, that's a John Lennon song adapted from a Yoko Ono quote that was controversial even when it first came out back in the 70s. But obviously, Bette did not get the memo. Now, at this point, I just don't believe any white person who says that they don't understand how racism works or what it is. I mean, even racist white folks understand what racism is, they just don't want to stop being racist. So I know progressive white women get it. They might not understand all of the intricacies, but even that base level knowledge goes completely out the window as soon as they want to talk about their own struggles. And Bette's tweet is a prime example. So I guess we gotta get the basics out of the way. That tweet is an issue because there are lots of people who fall into the woman and nigger category. What are we to do? Well, when stuff like this happens, we have to have remedial conversations about our raced and gendered lives with the women who say that they're on our side. It's annoying. It's also time consuming. When Toni Morrison wrote about how racism is a distraction from your real work, this is what she's talking about. Bette made the classic white feminist mistake of trying to collapse all of our experiences into the single category of woman. Hers is a retro ignorance that translates into real harm. In this construction, nigger becomes a rhetorical device instead of a real lived experience. And look, I get that back in the day, some people might have been cool with that. I found this clip when I was doing research.
All my black friends feel I have quite a right to say it because they understand it. And then, strangely enough, the chairman of the Black Caucus, that great guy, Congressman Ron Dellums, Democrat California, says here, he came out with this, which is fantastic. If you define niggers as someone whose lifestyle is defined by others, whose opportunities are defined by others, whose role in society is defined by others, then good news. You don't have to be black to be a nigger in this society. Most of the people in America are niggers. I didn't say that.
Ron Dellums was a real person. He passed away this summer, but he actually co-founded the Congressional Black Caucus. Still, it's 2018. And attempting to erase the women who live at the intersections of multiple marginalized identities is not okay. We've been over this so many times. Black feminist theorists have been telling us about intersectionality and interlocking oppressions for decades, and really, even longer than that if we're going back to the work of women like Anna Julia Cooper. They've made it plain about how experiencing multiple oppressions affects how we navigate through life, and that has influenced contemporary conversations about feminism. But Bette was in her feelings, and I actually understand why that instinct crept up after the Kavanaugh hearings. If you're a white woman, and especially a class-privileged white woman, when you're looking at Christine Blasey Ford, you're seeing yourself. Ford is both silenced and privileged. And this is why we have to talk about our own investments in power. Because while Bette was trying to make a point about her own oppression, she decided to step on the lives of other women. And she chose to invoke what Kimberly Crenshaw calls the authoritative universal voice. But you can't speak for everyone. And like I said, this has been a white feminist MO for a long time. Bell Hooks talks about it in her book, Feminism is for Everybody. She says that the white feminists of the second wave, quote, entered the movement erasing and denying difference, not playing race alongside gender, but eliminating race from the picture. Foregrounding gender meant that white women could take center stage, could claim the movement as theirs, even as they called on all women to join. Now, I sympathize with Blasey Ford, but she is not representative of all women. And I say that even while wanting her story to be believed and her voice to be heard. And I also believe that the visibility of rich white feminists does not do a lot for the rest of us. I mean, next to nothing. In fact, it's quite the opposite. In demarginalizing the intersection of race and sex, Kimberly Crenshaw writes about the people whose politics begin and end with the most privilege. If their efforts instead began with addressing the needs and problems of those who are most disadvantaged, and with restructuring and remaking the world where necessary, then others who are singularly disadvantaged would also benefit. Creating a world where our institutions work for the most marginalized ensures that the rest of us have a shot at justice. This whole thing underscores that we're gonna have to keep pushing back against the worst impulses of white feminists. This isn't gonna be the last time a woman presuming to speak for all of us makes this mistake. And those errors create an undue burden for the rest of us. So how do we protect ourselves? I say by letting them have it when necessary. Now, I am not always for the drag, but I do think public shaming is useful in some contexts. Here it worked, kinda. Bette deleted the tweet, she retracted the statement, and we had to have this conversation around why what she did was a no-no. And it's a good thing that the women whose experiences were previously ignored now have the opportunity to speak back to that nonsense in a real way. Shout out to the internet. Hopefully, we're changing norms so that people know that when they do that kind of stuff, they're gonna be called to the carpet. Ignore difference at your own peril. Women with the most privilege in any conversation have to be on their P's and Q's. And by the way, sometimes I am the woman with the most privilege. That's how this works. It's not just enough to call out the white supremacist capitalist patriarchy. You gotta recognize how you embody it. Coalitions are politically necessary. Making them work is work. We just have to make sure white women are doing their fair share. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you like what we are doing here and want to help us continue this work, sign up for the Patreon, please. There's exclusive content over there. It's quite popping. Or make a one-time donation. Links for both of those things are below. Grab some merch, sign up for the email newsletter. That's all I got. Thanks, guys.